Hello, welcome to Strategic Waves. My name's Steve Tobin, as most of you will know, and I am an independent investor and analyst working on the Seeking Alpha platform. Now, if you've watched any of my videos before, you might notice the different background. Today, rather than being blurred out, I've got our RV on display, and I've got it on display today because I bought this RV out of the money I made from short sellers. Not from short selling, but from short sellers. And in today's video, I want to try and explain exactly what short sellers do and how you can make money out of it. Now, I know at the moment short selling is the real in thing. Every time I turn on Google or look at Facebook, there's someone telling me how they made £100,000 doing this or $20,000 doing that. Short selling, I don't believe a word of it. I really don't. I don't think there's a realistic proposition that retail investors like you and me can make good money selling short. I don't even think the big short sellers make money all the time, and I'll try and prove that to you today. But the first thing I'm going to do is talk about exactly what short sellers do. Now, it goes like this. The first thing a short seller does is he researches. And when he researches, he's looking for something that's wrong with a company. He'd be looking for, the best thing he could find would be a fraud, an outright fraud. They would love that. But they're looking for other stuff. Perhaps a misleading statement that the CEO made. Perhaps there's some orders in that order book that aren't real and never going to be realised. Perhaps they're overstating some profits, or they've got a legal case they've not disclosed. But something in those accounts, something that management said, it just doesn't bear truth. Once they've found this thing that they don't believe or they think's not true, that thing will mean the company's overvalued. And in the old days, this is what used to do. The short sellers used to go to a big company, perhaps an investment bank or an insurance company, and they'd ask to borrow the shares in the target company. And the pension fund would agree to this, as long as they were, of the right stature and they had the money to prove they could do it. And they might lend them 1,000 shares or 100,000 shares or 1,000,000 shares, depending on what the deal was. Obviously, they'd have to pay for it. So the short seller would give some money to the investment company, take away the shares. The short seller then sold those shares, perhaps for $5 shares. Perhaps he sold $100,000 at $5 a share. Put the $500,000 he's got into the bank, and then released his report and told everybody in the world what he discovered, why this company was massively overvalued. And if he's right, the share price would collapse. It'd go from $5 a share to maybe $1 a share, almost overnight often. At that point, the short seller buys back the shares. He sold them for $5, buys them back for $1, making $4 on each share, gives the shares back to the person who owned them in the first place, and walks away with his $400,000, whatever it is, in the bank. Great business if you can get it. It's all automated now. That it doesn't work quite as straightforwardly as that. You can just go onto any website, Interactive Brokers, IG Markets, any of the big brokerages, and they will give you the opportunity to sell short. But in the background, that's what they're doing. They're borrowing them off someone else on their platform, allowing you to sell them at a price, and at some stage later you've got to buy them back, give them back to who they belong to, and you take the difference in between. There's issues when it's done technically like that. You've got a thing called a margin call, because the brokerage has got to be sure you've got the money to cover your losses. So if something's $1 a share, they might want 25% of that money deposited with them, just in case it goes up in price, so that they know they can cover the loss and give the shares back to who they belong to. So that's where a margin calls come from. Now, let's have a look at some of the best short sellers in history and how much money they've managed to make. Now, we're looking at Yahoo Finance. Got a list here of the top 10 short sellers of all time, and these are the reasons why this is so popular. This is what makes this thing so interesting. Look at this guy, Jamie Lai, started off with initial $100,000 investment and turned it into $130 million. No wonder these guys are famed. No wonder people want to do this sort of stuff. That's just staggering, isn't it? Let's scroll down a little bit to another guy, Michael Burry. He's the guy who made $100 million for himself and $700 million for his investors with a subprime collapse in American banking. There's loads of other examples, but that's just two. These are the reasons why people love this idea and love to aspire to being a top short seller. If we scroll along to another tab, I've got in front of us here a list of the top short sellers on this site, stockcircle.co. And I've chosen this one because that Michael Burry guy, the guy we just looked at Sign Asset Management, he was down 24% last year. It's not easy to do. Look at these guys. George Soros, he's the guy who broke the Bank of England, selling the pound against the euro, down 28% last year. We've got Bill Ackman, one of the biggest names in short selling, down 89.6% last year. These are the best guys in the business, and they can't make any money doing it all the time. So we've got little chance at all. If you look at the top 8, a list of the most famous short sellers of all, this is from US News. We've got this guy here, Andrew Left. He's the reason I decided to do this video today, because he has just been sued by the SEC. I'm going to, hopefully the Seeking Alpha article is going to come up here, but him and his company have been sued by the SEC for making money out of the people who follow them. This is the article, and they allege he's been engaged in a multi-year $20 million fraud to get money out of people who follow his recommendations. And this is what this guy's alleged to have been doing, and I think, I'm not sure if he's done it or not. I've followed some of his reports in the past, and they've been pretty good, to be honest. I've never had a problem with Andrew Left. I think his work's been pretty outstanding for a long time, but maybe he's done this, maybe he's not, no idea. But this is what they allege. They allege Andrew Left publishes short selling reports that he knows not to be true, but he knows the simple fact of him publishing the report will cause the share price to fall, not for any real reasons, but just because he published the report. So in advance of publishing the report, he goes short, publishes the report, closes his account to make some profit, and then all of his followers lose money because the thing goes back up in price to where it should have been, because what he said wasn't true. And effectively all that's happening is money's being transferred from his followers, retail people like you and I, to him. It's like another tax, isn't it? Money from the poor going to the rich. Sometimes I think the entire stock market is rigged in that way, so we give money to all of these huge financial companies and people already with loads of money. He's one of the reasons I don't think we can make money following short sellers. This sort of thing goes on all the time, and a lot of the time they're just wrong. Now that's where I make money out of short sellers, and that's what paid for my moto. And I'm going to go through the specific example. One of the companies I'm interested in is EHang, the people who make this Chinese company that make electric vertical takeoff planes, little drones that carry people around. 2021, Wolfpack Research, they've always got a name like Wolfpack or Hindenburg, some sort of aggressive kind of name. They released this report saying that EHang was nothing more than a stock promotion built on fabricated revenues and sham sales contracts with customers who are only interested in helping pump up the stock price. They went through and they had a whole load of things what they said was that was wrong with EHang. They even had videos of this kind of like apparently EHang factory tour. It's not a factory tour, it's just some random building in China as far as I can see. But they made loads of accusations. Alright, loads of them. If we look what happened to the price, and let's just check when this was published. February 21. Now, in front of us we've got the EHang share price, and in February 2021 the share price here was at $128. That's the day Wolfpack released their report. Instantaneous collapse. Look at this, in no time at all. Well, in less than just a couple of weeks, it was down to $30. No doubt that Wolfpack got out around somewhere around here, making themselves $100 per share. They must have made an absolute killing, a fortune out of this thing. Now, I came round researching EHang, it's one of the companies I'm interested in, and I went through, in this article, every one of the allegations that Wolfpack had made, and I was able to prove to myself that every single thing they said was false. All right. They talked about an expert, Dr. Moore, who they didn't bother to mention was a direct competitor of EHang. They showed Dr. Moore a photograph of one of EHang's engines, didn't tell it was an EHang engine, just showed him a photo and said, "What do you think's that?" And he said, "Oh, you know, it probably looks a bit like a from Chinese company T-Motor." And but he just looked at a photo and that's what he thought. I mean, I'm sure he did think it, but that doesn't really mean anything. They said their custom was a scam. All their custom was a scam. So I went through all 22 sales that EHang said they'd made, which Wolfpack said were a scam, and I found evidence by searching the web. I found them, shaking hands with dignitaries and these things taking off, and local newspaper articles showing these things arriving to prove that they were true. I even found a flyover of their actual factory. I don't know if I put it here. Yeah, so on the article there's a flyover of their actual factory, rather than that kind of made up thing that Wolfpack showed. No idea what that was. They've got a beautiful, huge 600,000 square metre factory that they were going to use. Now, I wrote this other article, EHang, buy it now, buy it big. At the time, shares were at $4. We were looking, when I wrote my article, we were down here. All right, we were down here, $4. And I said, buy it now, buy it big. And I bought it very big. I bought leverage sales, which was kind of a derivative project, very risky, but I knew this thing was going to fly, and I knew it was going to fly then because they were just about to apply for commercialization, tracking them, and the thing shot up. Everybody who followed that recommendation, we got in at around $4 and we were out at sort of $16, $17, 400% in a couple of weeks. Huge win. Really liked it. It was just a great buy. So that's how you make money out of short sellers. You prove that they're not true, and then you buy against them. If you try to follow short sales, you're going to get stung. If you'd have tried to follow this deal, by the time it fell like that in one day, by the time you got in, it would have almost doubled in price, and you'd have lost your money. And that happens all the time. If you try and follow those things, you're either going to lose your money on the bounce back, or there's a good chance it ain't going to be true and you're going to lose money anyway. So a quick update on the strong buy portfolio on the screen now. As you can see, APR's at 70%, still pretty good. Winning trades 8 out of 11 now, slightly better than last time. Return there 25% on open trades, 91% on closed trades. No trades closed since the last update. You'll notice down here we've got 2 more tabs, soft buy and small caps. Hoping to release a couple of new products for September when my new financial year starts. Talk more about those when we get there, but let's have a look at the strong buy portfolio itself. There it is. Make it a bit bigger so it fits nicer on the screen. List of companies down this one. 2 grey ones are the 2 closed trades. This column O, shows current performance, doing pretty well. Got 3 trades underwater, as we know. I did check out Elva Electrovia the way I said I would last time I spoke to you. Seems okay to me, seems good. Gonna need to go into it in more detail. Results due soon, so we'll check it out then. Still happy with Luna. Net Power, they've got a conference call coming up soon, so we'll reassess those after that, but generally it's looking really good. Taboola, the trade we took last week, showing a tiny little profit of 2%. As with Aris, the other one we took in July, small deals at the moment, but hopefully they'll get there. I think they're looking great. I'm really happy with them. Well, thanks for listening. Just going to wrap up now. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, remember to hit that like button. Really appreciate it. Or subscribe if you want to see more of these videos. Probably the last video you'll get of my lovely motorhome that I bought out of that EHang trade. It's a lot smaller, I know, than the RVs in the US, but in our tiny little European roads we can't have those huge machines, so we have what we call a motorhome. Same idea. This one's a luxury class Francia A class. Really like the machine. It's absolutely fabulous, and we're having great fun driving it around Europe and North Africa. Based in the UK at the moment. That'd be great. Anyway, if you like that video, please subscribe. And take my word for it, if you want to make money out short selling, find a short selling article that isn't true and buy that stock. I'll continue to, every time I write about a stock, I check out the short sell reports and try and disprove them. It just adds, if you can disprove a short selling report, you can do really well. Sometimes you can't. I recently wrote about SMR, the nuclear company, and there was a short selling report about them, and I couldn't prove one way or the other if it was true or false. no idea. And so I didn't do anything, just put a hold on it, didn't buy it, didn't sell it, just left it. That's all for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, hit the like button. Speak to you soon.